Detective James Wilson sat at his wooden desk, looking through the morning newspaper. The small office was quiet, except for the sound of rain hitting the window. Suddenly, his phone rang. "Detective Wilson speaking," he answered. "Detective, you must help," a woman's voice cried. "I'm Sarah Mitchell. My sister's expensive diamond necklace has disappeared from our family safe. We're having a big party at our house tonight, and she needs to wear it." James grabbed his notebook. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Mitchell." "What's your address?" The Mitchell house was a large white building with beautiful gardens. Sarah, a tall woman in her 30s, wearing a blue dress, met him at the door. She looked worried. "Thank you for coming so quickly, Detective. Please follow me." She led him to a study where the safe was. The room was neat and organized, with books lining the walls. The safe door was open. "Tell me everything," James said, examining the safe carefully. "My sister Jane keeps her valuable jewelry here. Last night, everything was fine. This morning, when she came to get her necklace, it was gone. The strange thing is, the safe wasn't broken into. Only 3 people know the combination: me, Jane, and our butler, Mr. Roberts." James nodded, writing in his notebook. "Where were you last night?" "I was at a friend's house until midnight. Jane was home all evening, and Mr. Roberts was here too." Just then, Jane walked in. She was younger than Sarah, wearing a red dress. "Have you found anything yet, Detective?" "I'm just getting started," James replied. "Mrs. Jane, did you notice anything unusual last night?" "Well," Jane thought for a moment. "I heard some noise from this room around 10 p.m., but when I checked, nobody was here. I assumed it was Mr. Roberts cleaning." Detective Wilson interviewed Mr. Roberts next. The elderly butler was tall and proper, dressed in a black uniform. "I was in the kitchen most of the evening, preparing for tonight's party. I did my usual cleaning rounds at 9 p.m., but I didn't enter the study." James walked around the room slowly, his trained eyes noticing every detail. Something caught his attention near the window: tiny water drops on the carpet. The window was slightly open. He checked his weather notes. Interesting. The rain didn't start until 2 a.m. Looking closer at the window frame, he found small scratches. Then he noticed something shining behind one of the books, a small piece of wet string. James smiled. He had solved the case. Gathering everyone in the study, he began, "The necklace wasn't stolen last night. It was taken this morning, and I know who did it." Sarah and Jane looked at each other nervously. Mr. Roberts stood perfectly still. "Mrs. Sarah, you said you were at a friend's house until midnight, but your shoes in the hallway are completely dry, even though it rained heavily from 2 a.m. until now. You couldn't have come home last night." Sarah's face turned pale. "You came home this morning. You used a string through the window to pull out the necklace from the safe, which you had left slightly open last night. You knew the combination after all. The water drops near the window are fresh, and I found the string you used. But why would I steal my sister's necklace?" Sarah demanded. "Because it wasn't really her necklace, was it?" James turned to Jane. "Mrs. Jane, when did your mother give you the necklace?" "Last month, on my birthday," Jane replied. "She always said it would be mine when I turned 30. "Exactly. Your mother changed her will, didn't she, Mrs. Sarah? The necklace was supposed to be yours, but she gave it to Jane instead." Sarah's shoulders slumped. "It wasn't fair," she whispered. "That necklace was promised to me since I was a child. When Mother changed her mind, she reached into her purse and pulled out the diamond necklace." Jane gasped. "Sarah, how could you?" "I'm sorry, Jane. I was just so angry." Sarah handed the necklace to Detective Wilson. As James left the Mitchell house, the rain had stopped. Another case solved, thanks to careful observation and attention to detail. He smiled, thinking how a few drops of water had revealed the truth. Back in his office, he added Death on the Nile to his case files. remembering how the famous water of the Nile had once again helped solve a mystery, even if it was just rainwater this time.